All right. Looks like we're probably live on a Sunday morning or maybe a Sunday afternoon. All right, doing it live. We're doing it live. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Got a couple things to look at today. A couple minor stories. One of them really isn't so much like a news story. It's a me story, kind of. A couple cool things that showed up this week in the den. Got a few coming attractions to check out. So hopefully everybody out there is having a groovy Sunday. Hope it's been a good one. If you're going through the fire, keep on going. Hopefully it's going to get better soon. And maybe have a little bit of fun watching an old nerd talk about nerd stuff. So let's get started. Let's get started with some pre-order chaos. So Friday, a few action figure pre-orders popped up. A few from McFarlane that were kind of in association with Walmart. And it seems like a running trend that they were at least a little bit screwed up. And pretty much all of them instantly sold out. There were two that I was kind of interested in. One of them was Guardian. Essentially, when Simon and Kirby went to DC, they created Guardian, which is like a version of Captain America. You know, very similar sort of action, right? He had a shield, that kind of thing. So I was kind of interested in that. And I was interested in the Silver Age Red Tornado because I like kind of, goofy characters. And the Red Tornado one. So I was watching as things would pop up on Twitter that they were live, and click the little link. It takes you to McFarlane's site. Now, some of these you could get on Walmart. Some of them, which I was trying to avoid because I've been screwed by Walmart a few times. Some of them you could get directly from McFarlane, and some of them you could get from GameStop. Okay, click over. So for Guardian, for example, there's the GameStop link. All right, let me click that. This page does not exist. All right, so somebody's got the wrong link address. I mean, I guess McFarlane did, or they were given the wrong one, whatever. Click over to Walmart, sold out. It's gone already, maybe in about a minute. Another one comes up that I didn't really care about, but I click on it. That GameStop link didn't work either. Sold out instantly on Walmart. The other one sold out instantly on McFarlane and sold out on Walmart. Red Tornado comes up. Within 37 seconds, it was sold out. All right. Was it really sold out? Or how small are these stocks? And maybe they are very small. So it's just, you go through and you're just like going, what the hell, man? Like, are they that popular, or are the stocks that low, or is somebody getting early access? Because the Red Tornado one, I'd seen the link for the Walmart page earlier in the day. I clicked on it, okay, there it is. Of course, it said unavailable because it wasn't supposed to be up for sale for another couple hours. But it also said on there, over 100 sold in the last day or 24 hours. Well, how? Is there early access that I'm unaware of? Maybe there is. Maybe somebody pays and they get early access. But if they do, then what's the point of officially announcing the launch on your website if they're already all gone? What's the point? And then, so this is funny. So we go through these I'm like, all right, whatever. I guess, I guess they're all gone or not working or what have you. Like that Wonder Twins figures that were on the GameStop site that showed they were going to be now up for sale October 20th, now just say unavailable. There's no date given. I don't know what happened with those, if they were ever for sale. I did find one on eBay from Australia. So if I wanted to pay like, I don't know, 50 or 60 bucks, with the shipping and tariffs and stuff, I could order a Jaina figure from Australia. So somebody in Australia either got one or it's just a scam. I have no idea. So, the GameStop, I don't know what happened with that. That was like a week or two ago. But I'm like, so they're up. I didn't get them, whatever, fine. Maybe like 30 minutes later, I click on that GameStop link for Guardian, just for, shits and giggles. And it was now working. And I actually managed to buy one of them. I'm guessing because whatever process people are using to buy these things out within like 30 seconds, it didn't work because the link didn't work initially, or it was set up for the wrong link, I guess. I don't know. But I did manage to get one of these dudes, Guardian. I thought it was kind of cool. I'll be honest, though. It was like I was ready to just pass that one by. I almost just went through the process to see if it was actually really for sale. Like, will it actually take my money and do it? Okay, it actually did. What do you know? I guess I'm going to get a Guardian. Who knows? Maybe it'll get canceled on me midway through, because that's what happened when I got that Spider-Man 78 from the TV series on, or 77, I should say, on the old TV series Spider-Man on Walmart. My initial order was canceled immediately. My wife managed to get one. And then the day it was supposed to ship, it was canceled. I didn't ship it. So I didn't get it. All right. Well, a week ago, floating around Twitter, and this dude I follow, I can't remember who it was now, but he'll post pictures of action figures on the rack at Target or Walmart or wherever he happens to be. And there's Spider-Man, the 77 version. I'm going, was that like well, wait a minute. It can't be overstock. My delivery got canceled, presumably because they oversold or something, or lost them. That's what they said about the Mego Atlas figure that I had ordered. The box was apparently stolen, so you don't get it. Hey, Lone Dragon, what's cooking, man? So I'm like, okay, well, that's got to be at Walmart then, because it was kind of exclusive, I think. I go to Walmart's website. There it is, low stock. And I ordered it. Again, kind of just to see if it would actually go through. And there it is. It showed up in 2 days. So several months later, the sold out figure that they couldn't ship to me appears on their website, and I was able to order it. So maybe sometime in January, I'll be able to pick up a Red Tornado that way. The only reason I bring this up, because honest to God, if I didn't get these things, it's fine. This is just for fun. I'm not like a serious collector, what have you. I get stuff that I dig. I put it on the shelf. It just makes me happy. If I miss out on one, I miss out on one. It's fine. It's the chaos that is freaking driving me crazy. Like, how are you people doing this? What are you doing? Can't you get this right? What is going on? And in that vein, maybe about an hour or two after these McFarlane releases that either immediately sold out or were never sold, I have no idea which, Hasbro puts 6 new Marvel Legends figures up for sale. I'm going to show them off here in a minute because from what I can tell, you could still get them at Hasbro. You could still get them at Big Bad Toy Store. You could still get them at Entertainment Earth. They pop up. There was one that I wanted. I got it. No fuss. No muss. Nice and easy. Okay, well, they managed to be able to do this. Although, they had trouble doing it when Walmart was involved. And I thought, with, like I said, with some of those Walmart figures this time around, I noticed they were selling them at other venues too. And I thought, well, maybe that's because Walmart screwed everything up the last time around. And so they're trying to have another avenue for people, but it didn't seem to matter. Anyhow, whatever. It's all good. But it's like, dude, it's chaos, man. And it definitely is pissing off some of their customers. So you guys need to figure this out. Like, whatever you're doing. I would say they may be working off low stock because they're losing the license, I think, next year. Although they've announced some new DC figures at the New York Comic-Con, which I'll talk about in just a second. But I thought maybe they're working low stock because at a certain point, they're not going to be able to sell them. So they don't want to have a bunch of them in back stock that they can't do anything with, or that they have to sell at a mega sale or something like that before Mattel takes the license. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but dude, they need to figure their stuff out. And what I would say is cut the friggin' exclusive bullshit. In fact, cut the pre-order bullshit, really, and just friggin' make the figures and sell them old style. And then at least you'll have happy customers. I don't see how what you're doing is making you more money than doing it in a more traditional way. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it would. Hey, Ramey, what's happening? But yeah, so anyways, that was my little story about little action figure pre-order chaos from McFarlane. So those announcements, and I don't have any pictures on these, so I'm just gonna mention them. I'm sure there's gonna be official announcements on their Twitter, and then we'll get some official photos, and I'll share those in a later live stream. But what they have coming up, apparently, DC Collector Edition, these are slated for winter of 2005, which I'm assuming means December. That's all the winter you're going to get at 2005, right? They got Elongated Man in his red and black costume. They have Black Hawk, which look pretty cool, but these look like computer generated images. So, they got Professor Pig, who I'll be honest, I don't know who that is. And they got Cosmic Boy, but not in the Legion of Superheroes kind of traditional costume. Looks like something that came from a later series. Also for winter of 2025, ultra articulated figures. They got the Superman from Superman and the Authority. No idea. They got Flash from Justice League New World Order. No idea. They got Rocket Red, but it doesn't look like the Justice League International era, so I have no interest in that. They have Larfleeze, the Green Lantern. Seemed like a lot of people were interested in that figure. They got Ice, who does look like she's from the Justice League International era. They got Black Condor, and they got Gangbuster. And I got to be honest, Gangbuster I'm kind of interested in. I might see about that one someday when it comes out. And then coming in 2026, their Page Punchers line. These are 7-inch figures. They're going to have Hal Jordan and Jessica Cruz Green Lanterns and the Golden and Silver Age Flashes. And it looked in the picture like 2-packs, but apparently they aren't 2-packs. They're going to be sold individually. Well, they seem to be. Professor Pig is a Batman villain, a little strange. Isn't he a serial killer? Yeah, I think he might come from after I stopped reading. That was kind of the impression I got. Not your favorite costume for Guardian. Yeah, I don't know. I like the character, and I went ahead and did it. And like I was saying, I don't know if you heard me earlier if you just popped on. But the whole pre-order thing was a friggin' mess. It didn't work initially on GameStop. It like just didn't know the link was what it was. I happened to click on it later and it was there, and I'm like, let me give it a shot and see if it'll actually go through. And I bought it. So the shield seems a little small for me. I like the traditional old school costume, so I'm good with that. But yeah, that was the only thing I could manage to get from McFarlane. But I could still go and grab some of the stuff from Marvel Legends, I believe. I didn't check this morning, but it was all still for sale yesterday. So there you go. Pre-order chaos, a few new announcements of future chaos from McFarlane. And then I also saw, so there's been controversy lately over payment processors not processing stuff for manga and anime and probably other things that they deem not appropriate. And a lot of it seems to be coming from some group based in Australia, although the woman behind it, I think, is actually American, who goes back and forth, putting pressure on like Visa, MasterCard, etc., to not process for sites that they deem inappropriate. So it's kind of puritanical, people like to use that term, but it actually seems more like it's maybe coming from not a conservative religious side, but more like the angry feminist side of you're not allowed to look at cute girls. By the way, since I'm doing the story, I decided to use the graphic that was used. So there you go, fellas. So apparently, though, DL Site, a Japanese manga anime site, I think they may do other stuff too, is launching their own payment service. So there you go, guys. I mean, they seem to think that because they dominate something now, they're going to dominate it forever, right? But hey, once upon a time, PayPal didn't exist. Google Pay didn't exist. A lot of these things didn't exist. There are ways to get around and create competition for companies who are trying to impose their dominance. Typically, a monopoly can only actually exist. This wouldn't be a monopoly, but it's close enough. If it has the government behind it, people forget that. Governments create monopolies, right? Because, at least in a free market like the United States, as free as it still is, you can create competition, right? The big company can't go after you legally with like armed force and shut you down. But if they're working with the government, they can. Well, Visa and MasterCard are not working with the government on this kind of stuff, so competition can spring up, and apparently that's kind of what's happening. Yeah, I know. Well, since it was on, Remy, since it was on the website, it was like a real news website. I'm going, what the heck, Maybe you'll get dear old dad a couple extra viewers for this stream. I can always use the help. So anyways, there you go, folks. That's the news of the day. So what I wanted to also do today, I've been watching a few old 30s. One of them is actually from 29, but old 30s kind of spooky cartoons. And some of the graphics, some of the animation art is freaking amazing. And I'm like, I want to look at some of that maybe on the live stream. So we'll see how this will work out. Now, what we're not going to be doing is like a heavy review or anything because it's a cartoon. It's 7 minutes long. It's not like you're going to be talking about plot and characterization or anything like that. I just wanted to look at some of the images from these things because they're really freaking amazing. And actually, I picked up a lot more from each cartoon than I thought I would. I thought with 7 minutes, maybe I'll grab, 10, 11, 12 images that are cool. And I came out oftentimes more with like 30 to 35. They're really packed with good stuff. So this is the Mad Doctor from Disney. Came out January 20th, 1933. The 52nd Mickey Mouse short. And this one is in the public domain because they didn't properly do the copyright later. We'll just kind of scroll through. You can look at some of the imagery, some of the art. That's really groovy. Directed by David Hand. Voices by Walt Disney. He was still doing Mickey Mouse then. Alan Watson. Florence Gill. I believe she does a chicken. And Pinto Colvig, most famous for being the voice of Goofy. The music in the thing is by Bert Lewis. Animation, and that's, of course, the most important, is by Art Babbitt, Les Clark, and Ben Sharpstein. Now, apparently, and you see here, we got Pluto being kidnapped by this guy in this sort of black cloak with a hood, right? Oh, and we're going to see Ub Iwerks in just a second. Well, not just a second, but close enough. So apparently this short was sometimes not shown in theaters because they thought it was going to be too scary for kids. And it was apparently banned. Ready for this? It was banned in the United Kingdom and in Nazi Germany. They didn't like this one. Those two countries have more in common now than they did then, but other than banning a Mickey Mouse cartoon. But look at that. Look at that background painting for one thing. I mean, just that is, I remember the first time I saw this cartoon, I was like, dude, that is D&D. This is like a Mickey Mouse D&D cartoon. He's going into this old castle. He's having to explore. He's dealing with spooky stuff. There we get the bats coming right at the friggin', camera. They used to love that. This is maybe the most amazing sequence in the cartoon. So Mickey is creeping down this passage, right? It's very reminiscent of like early video game stuff because as he's going, the walls are moving. So you get that he's kind of stationary position wise. The walls are moving around him. Had to be really hard to do back in the day, right? No computers to help. And it's a relatively short sequence, but then it's followed by him falling down this like slanted passage, and then landing at the bottom of it. It's flippin' incredible. You can go on YouTube and watch it right now. The Mad Doctor. I'm telling you, when this stream's over, go watch The Mad Doctor. Now, this was also the basis for a video game. You see the shadow work being done here, which is just friggin' beautiful. These are actually like, I don't know what you'd call them, but they're in front of a fireplace. They're just, metal things, but they're, because of the way the flames, go back and forth, it makes the shadows look like they're moving. So that freaks Mickey Mouse out for a minute. And then you actually see the things that are making the shadows when a spark hits Mickey in the rump and he kind of screams. And then you get him in the darkness. So you get the eyes. We get this clock with the skeleton pendulum on it. And you notice the bone hands up on the thing. It's a quick shot too. And it's like zooming in on it and then up to the hands. It's, again, really hard animation to do. The 30s was where these guys were like, they were just trying stuff out. They were seeing how far they could stretch animation. And Disney was willing to lose money on old shorts because he knew he could make it up with the merchandising and stuff. So the Disney shorts, they put a lot of money into these things. Now, I don't know about in 33, but that's how he would do it later. I think it's why you have fewer Disney shorts than you have of, say, Warner Brothers, which was like El Cheapo cranked these things out and the dudes were just all creative energy. But the Disney stuff and the Fleischer stuff is freaking gorgeous. And I think it's a lot of stuff where later they would be like, yeah, that's too expensive and it takes too long. We can't do this stuff anymore. But at this point, they were trying it all out. There we have him lighting a match and that skeleton comes out of the wall and blows it out. Here we have another one coming out of a wall to grab him. And yeah, that epic Mickey, I know they based it heavily on this cartoon. And that's the other thing. Like, we call these things cartoons, but they're technically animated cartoons. Cartoons are comic strips, Popeye, etc. But you can see at this point that these guys really, they were good cartoonists. They were solid cartoonists, if they were nothing else. And that's why they look so damn good. And they look better than later stuff in certain ways. The later stuff looks better in certain ways. The early stuff looks better in its own ways. But it's just that design element is so good in these. There's the Mad Doctor when he shows up, and that chicken, you see he's got Pluto strapped to this thing. My wife does not like this one because she's so worried about Pluto. And we see like an X-ray of the insides of Pluto. But look at the mechanisms behind. Think about the time that went into painting that background. And by the time you get to the 50s, that's basically way over with. Now they're going for a very different look. And it looks cool, but it saves money. You don't have the details. There we have the professor putting his finger up in the air there. Or the Mad Doctor. I love this little thing. He's going to take Pluto. Look at the freaking bloody saw. Are you kidding me? And he's going to put Pluto's head on a chicken. Jeez. Dude, the 1930s is so different. It was wide open. They didn't have the code in yet. It was the 30s is such a different era than the 40s. And they get blended together a lot of times. It's like, no, 30s was way different. And it was the Depression. It was like straight up ethnic humor. It was a rough period. People were rough back then. They were brusque in America. They weren't necessarily all that nice. They were vulgar. And you say they were on crack. They weren't on crack. They were on like bathtub gin, which was probably worse than crack. There we got the Mad Doctor coming straight at you. I'm pretty sure that's a knife in his hand. Look at his pockets. Look at all the stuff in his pockets. And look how they do those rubber gloves with the way the light shines off of them. Oh my God. The rubber band. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And there we get the real close up of him as he comes to the camera. They loved doing that shot back then. Here we have Mickey all tangled up with this skeleton. Then a whole bunch of skeletons bust out of this door after him. That was maybe taken from an earlier one that we're going to look at in a little bit. There's a skull biting his butt as he runs off. He gets trapped in this spider web with the skeletal spider again. Like, dude, this is D&D, man. If you cannot get inspiration for a D&D game from this cartoon, I don't know what to tell you. Now, what you can see here is he grabbed one of those S-shaped supports from the staircase and he threw it, and it loops behind the skeletal spider and knocks its legs off. So then all of a sudden it's really short, and then it runs away from Mickey because now Mickey's taller. And if you're taller, it means you can beat somebody up. Until Wolverine came along and changed it all. Disney has always been big on marketing. Walt made a ton of money. Hey, I think that's where Lucas kind of got the idea in a way from Star Wars, right? I mean, he didn't get a great deal on the Star Wars movie, but he held all the marketing rights to himself. And that's where Lucas made all of his Star Wars money initially was toys and stuff until the money started rolling in because it became like the biggest movie, of all time. Donald the Orange Juice Mickey. Yeah, Mickey piped. Oh my God. Yeah, look at Pluto. He's got him tied to that thing and he's cutting his shadow with scissors. Dude, how rad is that? So friggin' creative. Then Mickey slides through that little door up there and lands on this table, and the belts like pull really tight. And so you see the little buttons on his shorts are like sticking up, which I thought was an amazing detail. And again, look at the stuff in the foreground, look at the background, but that foreground stuff. Oh man, dude, it kind of reminds me, it's a different style. But it kind of reminds me of, it's Wrightson, right? Who did the Frankenstein book, which I have up on my shelf up there. oh man, did I pay a lot of money for that book when I was in high school, but I had to do it. And there we got the light on him, and we got that saw coming down, and it's making this buzzing sound. And then Mickey wakes up. It was all a bad dream because of the storm. It's a fly that's actually buzzing. And he starts yelling for Pluto, and Pluto hears him outside and runs in with his doghouse still attached to him. And the day is saved. And that is the end. It is an absolutely incredible cartoon. If you've never watched it, do so. It is so good. So good. All right. New acquisitions. We got a couple new acquisitions in the den to talk about, and then we'll look at another cartoon. But I did get delivered, speaking of Marvel Legends, and we already showed the Spider-Man, the Ghost Rider figure. They put this up on a pre-order a little while ago, along with Dr. Doom, and I grabbed both of them. Ghost Rider is the first one to be delivered. I don't know if we can get this close enough, but I'm almost positive, and you got a little reflection there, but I think the jaw might be jointed. I was just looking at it a moment ago. I think the jaw is jointed, so it'll move. We got his face where it's like the flames are coming up on his head there. He's got the freaking chain going. As a matter of fact, we got in the back, you could see the little guide to what you can change out on him. But dude, love Ghost Rider. I think Ghost Rider's got to be one of the greatest designs of a character maybe ever. Just so ridiculously cool. The flaming skull, etc. Just fantastic. So this was definite when it came out. I'm like, I'm grabbing that dude. That is great. So I can't wait to bust him out of here. When I do, maybe I'll show off the figure. I don't know if they're coming out with a bike or not. I personally think they would have done that already if they were going to. Because why wouldn't you be selling that with the figure when the hype, right? You want to get people hyped up on stuff. But even without the bike, I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe I'll find like an old Evel Knievel bike on eBay, and I can for one of those bendy Evel Knievels, I can let them use that bike. But yeah, I think it's a great looking figure. Can't wait till the Dr. Doom to come out. Also, I picked this up because it was like ridiculously cheap. Let's see if I can put my hand behind it. I grabbed the motion picture Captain Kirk figure, 3 3/4 inches. I figure I'll maybe have him macking on a Princess Leia at some point. I actually do have the Cara Dune figure up there. Maybe I'll sit Kirk next to Cara Dune. I don't know if he can handle that, but there we go. That's a little better. It was like somebody wanted like, I think less than $10 for it. Obviously it's loose, but it's in pretty good shape. There's not much paint loss anywhere on it. I assume these guys came with a phaser. God, I mean, if I went out and bought the phaser for this guy, it'd probably cost me like 3 times as much as the figure. So I'm not going to worry about that. But I just picked it up for fun. This is the other thing that came out this week that I grabbed that is really freaking cool. Do You Dare Enter the House of Mystery? This is a facsimile of one of the great big limited editions. Look at 7 king-size mystery tales behind the scenes with the creators of the House of Mystery. Supersized pinup of our haunting host, sadly not Elvira. Special spooky games and cartoons. Bonus 3D mystery cutout. How to draw a haunted house. Dude, this thing is absolutely rad. We got a tabletop diorama on the back. Should I go buy another one so I can actually cut this out and put it together? Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. But like they say, they do have the fold-out, full-sized pinup. Are you kidding me? Look at this. How great is that? And I thought this was really cool. They got like a little board game. I got to get where I can actually see what I'm showing on screen. There we go. So they got a little board game that you could play, which does make me wonder if, a tester's model kit. That's a good idea, Ramy. Oh, wait a minute. Then I'd have to put together a model. I'd probably be better at it now than I was when I was a kid, but I was terrible at that when I was a kid. So nothing really huge that I grabbed, showed up this week, but pretty stoked with the Ghost Rider and really stoked with House of Mystery. I have not read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's like what? I don't know. Is it Kubert doing some of this stuff? I wonder if they didn't always show people's credits back in the day on the different stories. Yeah, I don't see any on that one. The Devil's Doorway. Oh, Alex Toth. Alex Toth, come on. Gotta get one of these, guys. That's friggin' rad. Okay. Let's look at another cartoon real quick. Now, this is from 1929. December 2nd, 1929. So about, roughly 4 years before the one we looked at before. And the reason I wanted to show it off a little bit is because it covers a little bit of the same ground. So the Mad Doctor maybe took some inspiration from the earlier Haunted House cartoon. 29 is also when the Skeleton Dance came out, that cartoon. And a little bit of it comes into this dude. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff on sale. A bunch. Nice Lone Dragon. Hopefully some good stuff, man. So let's look at the Haunted House here. Oh, wait a minute. No, that didn't. Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it working. So also starts with a storm. Now you see a haunted house there, right? Looks like it's kind of angry. You see a little house next to it. Okay, well, I mean, if you're old enough, you know what that little house is. That would be an outhouse. That outhouse, well, we'll talk about in a minute, but that outhouse had an impact on this cartoon. So we got Mickey walking along through the storm with his little umbrella, and he ends up getting kind of blown to this house. That little tree there basically tickles his butt as he runs inside the door. Oh, G.I. Joe Classified. I got a classified Scarlet that was on a really good sale on Amazon. And it was the first of the G.I. Joe Classified figures I've gotten. And now I'm like going, I mean, I could get Rock and Roll. They got Grunt. I could get Grunt. I could get maybe some of the stuff I really loved when I was a kid. That's how it begins. So we have that tree going after Mickey's butt. Now here we get the bats again. Now the background of the haunted house is not as impressive as that castle from the other one. But again, this is from 4 years earlier. And this one, I should say, directed by Walt Disney. He's doing the voices. Music by Carl Stalling, who would later, of course, go to Looney Tunes. Animation by Ub Iwerks. All right. So we get the spider, we get the bats, we get all the kind of stuff that you would expect. We get a bit of him in the dark, and he's actually doing the mammy bit here, like calling for his mom, but obviously it's a Jolson thing. We get the spooky shadow. Oh, I see Raimi. My grandfather had an outhouse up until everyone made him install a toilet in his house in 1983. My uncle and aunt, who lived on a farm in Iowa, they had an outhouse, I want to say, until the 90s. Maybe, yeah, definitely by the 90s. Because at a certain point, my aunt was like, I want a new house. That house they had probably was built in the 40s or 50s. And so they built a new house, basically bought a house and had it transported, put on a foundation with a new basement with indoor plumbing because she had enough of no indoor plumbing. Had enough. But I remember going to that farm, and like when you'd wash up for dinner, it was the bowl with the soap. It was old school, and going out and using the outhouse. Yeah, it was an interesting little thing back in time, but there's porta potties now, which are kind of the same thing. But at any rate, so here he meets this hooded, cloaked figure. I love the silhouette of Mickey in the front. And he comes closer and lifts up the hood so you can see the skull face, and then gets right up in the camera. Look at the teeth. Look at the way they did those teeth. But also look at how simple the artwork is, shape, shadow, etc., but so damn effective. And here we see Mickey, and then remember the skeletons pouring out after him in the Mad Doctor? That looks kind of similar. And he's all bummed out in the middle. And what they end up doing is they force him to play this pump organ that's in the foreground so they can all dance. So there we have him pointing to the organ, and Mickey's kind of like, I don't know how to play. And fragrant memories, Ramy, I'll tell you that. Because we usually visited Iowa back in the summer. So it was hot, humid outhouse. Lovely. So he's like helping him play this thing so they can all start dancing. And then they're dancing, all these skeletons. And the cloaked dude, robed dude in the background is like doing this sort of like, I don't even know how to exactly imitate it, and then doing this weird clap thing. It's an amazing sequence. It's so good. There we see him kind of doing his little hippie dance there. I don't mean hippies as in the 60s. I mean shaking his hips. And then kicking up his heels, lifting up his skirts. And there we have, some really, really, really great stuff in this one. This skeleton is doing like playing the xylophone with that thing. And then turns it into an accordion. We got these two bumping booties doing their dance. This guy's playing his head, it's like a drum or something like that. Then you get these two guys. Now they're doing like a Russian dance, but I'm not sure if they were going for like Russian skeletons or if they were going for Jewish skeletons, because they did a lot of that back in the day. You'd have a character, well, I don't know. And it's like, you kind of knew what they were going with that. It would be like more of a, recent immigrant, Jewish guy from Eastern Europe. But because it's Eastern Europe and Russia, and we had immigrants coming from both, you're not always sure what they were doing there. We got these dudes doing the little, finger on the head, twirling around. So Mickey, and they did have the straight up skeleton dance. And I didn't grab those images because I was planning to grab some images just from the skeleton dance. It's behind the scenes, me making choices, but they did reuse the animation of part of the skeleton dance when they're the four of them kind of going back and forth and doing their little thing. So a little bit of that, same year, by the way, that came out. So Mickey manages to sneak away. That's him trying to use a doorknob that turns into like this skeleton's hand. And he's coming out of the little keyhole. So here's where the censors in some states got involved. He gets into this room and this Murphy bed comes down. And then the little door, you can just make out the little door next to it. It opens up and a skeletal hand pushes out a chamber pot. And then these two skeletons, just like husband and wife, pop up from under the sheets. It was the chamber pot. Offended some censors. They didn't want the chamber pot there. Now it's literally there for about... It's a gag, but it's not really a long gag. It's not super important. But this freaks out Mickey, as it would. And he jumps out the window and he lands in this barrel. You can see the slats of the barrel. But bones come up out of the barrel like water, like a splash of water. And then they land and form a bunch of skeletons right there. And the skeletons then go after Mickey. Now you see that little wooden walk in the background. That leads over to this outhouse. Now that was the other thing the censors objected to in some states, so not everywhere. But this cartoon got censored because of a chamber pot and an outhouse. But Mickey runs over to the outhouse and there's already a skeleton. It's occupado. So he freaks out and he runs away. And that is the end of that particular cartoon. So I thought it was interesting because it's kind of covering some of the same ground as the Mad Doctor a few years earlier. You could see in 4 years, look at how much some of this stuff has improved, like in terms of technique, which is not to say anything against Iwerks. He's working in 29. It's amazing stuff in 29. But you could see that all of these cartoons, I've been watching some of the old Warner Brothers stuff. It's amazing how quickly this brand new art form started improving as these guys were learning what they were doing. Okay, let's look at some new releases and new campaigns. There's one more look at her for everybody. Batman Nightfall. This is going to be an animated, well, not a series exactly, but it's going to be done in multiple parts. They announced it at that New York Comic Con. The first part's going to debut in 2026, based on the story published between 93 to 94 by Doug Minch, Chuck Dixon, Alan Grant, Denny O'Neil, Peter David, Joe Duffy, Jim Aparo, Graham Nolan, Norm Brayfogle, and Jim Balint. And dude, just listing off all those names, it's like a murderer's row of comic book talent from the 90s. So a lot of people very excited about this. I saw Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan both excited on Twitter because they're like, hey, royalties. Nice. Of course, the question is, do they do a good job with it or do they not? It sounded like people overall were pretty happy with who was doing it. It's part one, Nightfall, directed by Jeff Wamester, written by Jeremy Adams. Now, dude, I have not watched any of their stuff. I'm out of the loop on a lot of these DC animated things. So I don't know. So maybe folks in the chat know those names, know some of the stuff that they've done. But it sounded like overall people were pretty hyped about it online. People who you would expect to be hyped about it. People who sometimes people would expect to be down on things. Overall, it looks like people are excited about this. So may turn out to be very, very cool. I think I showed this before, but this has popped up again. From Hiya Toys, a 1/12 scale Rogue Trooper. So 6.5 inches tall. It's going to be released fourth quarter of 2026. Obviously from the classic 2000 AD British comics. I don't know drastically much about it, but it's like a post-apocalyptic deal. $106 though. So like you're going to need to be a pretty big fan of Rogue Trooper, I think, to probably walk away with one of those, but I wanted to show that off just the same. Now, I talked earlier about the new Marvel Legends series wave that's just come out. Excuse me there. Now there's 6 of them, and it's Executioner Build-A-Figure. So each one comes with a piece of an Executioner figure, and I only really wanted one of them. So I'm going to have a spare chunk of the Executioner in case anybody needs it. First Space Marine, yeah, kind of. Well, I don't know. You could maybe say that Starship Troopers, kind of the first Space Marines, but God, there may be something before that even, for all I know. So here's the Marvel Legends that have just come out. These are all $28, right around there. And like I said, I grabbed one on Hasbro Pulse, but I did see them at Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth. Go look, and you could probably find them still. So we got Werewolf by Night, which I know a lot of people were looking forward to. Dark Avengers Spider-Man. Never read Dark Avengers, so I don't know much about what they did with them, but looks like they're kind of going off of the old storyline with, I want to say, Morbius the Living Vampire, when he gained 6 arms for a little while. We got Warbow from the Saga of Crystar. And it's funny, when I saw this, I went, okay, wait a minute. I ordered a Crystar figure. I don't think I ever got that. So I went looking for it, and I did find it. But it was at Entertainment Earth, but it was a back order. And I'm like going, I don't think that's ever going to be actually in my hands. So I need to figure out a way to cancel that back order. And if I really want a Crystar, I'll probably need to grab it off of like eBay. We got World War II Logan We got Iron Man Mark 72 armor. Again, not really aware of that. But Werewolf by Night has 0 accessories. Interesting. I mean, werewolves travel light, I guess. That maybe makes sense. Although price-wise, you'd maybe want something to go along with it. So that's the Mark 72 armor. And then we got the Enchantress. I love the Enchantress character. I got to be honest with you, though. I don't know. The sculpt ain't doing a whole lot for me. I think it's the face. It's not bad. It actually has a very Kirby-esque look to it. But like from different angles, it just doesn't quite, I don't know. It doesn't work that well for me. If I was going to grab another one out of this set, that would probably be it, because I do love the Enchantress, and at some point I'll probably want to pick up a Thor. Oh, I see. Oh, and now see the Spider God. I gotcha. Okay. With no no bill. Oh, okay. So that one doesn't have one. All right. I assume they all did. The exhaustive research that I do. This is the one that I picked up. Ghost Rider / Phantom Rider, which I think looks friggin' rad. And, well, hey, I got one Ghost Rider now. I guess I might as well have a second one. Hey, Transformer Joe, what's cooking, man? Yeah, and you know what? And now, of course, Transformer Joe shows up, and I didn't grab some of the Transformer ones to show off here. So that's perfect. That works out exactly the way it normally would for me. But yeah, I did see a couple from Hasbro Pulse of Transformers. Thundercracker. And Transformer Joe probably knows the other one, and it's not coming to me. It wasn't Beachcomber. It was an Autobot. They look pretty good. But like you gotta draw lines, and I'm like, okay. Oh yeah, and that Optimus Prime with the oh my god, I almost said Magneto, Megatron arm. Yeah, there's a few. I'm not collecting any of those because I have to draw the line somewhere. Because if I take this off, you can see there's a lot of figures sitting back there, and you're not seeing the like 3 or 4 shelves above that. So at any rate, I must hide my shame. But yeah, Hasbro Pulse did a much better job with their pre-orders than McFarlane did. I will definitely say that. Also, now these are coming out October 21st. We got Black Bolt and Triton of the Inhumans, and we got a 2-pack with Medusa and Gorgon. $58 for those. And they do look pretty good, man. Doesn't have the build. Okay, Build-A-Figure piece. We're giving a Cable instead of the white armor Iron Man no one wanted. Oh. There are so many different Iron Man. I got the Silver Centurion recently because that was the sort of armor that when I started collecting, that was what he was wearing. Other than that, I like the one kind of before that. Those are like the two that I dig, and the rest of them are fine. But I think they've just gotten a little bit addicted to redesigning Iron Man every 5 minutes. I think they've actually gotten that way about almost all the characters. This is HasLab. So this is kind of like a fun, not fundraiser. What's the friggin' word I'm looking for? I don't want to say Kickstarter, but you know what I'm talking about. You got 44 days to back this. In other words, Tron Heroes of the Grid. These are 3 and 3/4 inch figures with the light cycles. They're kind of cool. But apparently they did not license the likenesses of the actors. So they don't look anything like the actors, but we're going to look at something in a minute that really doesn't look like the actors. But $260. I mean, I guess you get the base. I mean, if you're a Megatron fan, that's cool. But that's a little more than I need. Transformer Joe says, the only thing I need is that Samurai Prime, and yeah, only allow myself to watch the... Yeah, I know. You gotta, like, you do. You gotta sort of say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not doing anything outside of that, because this stuff can just grow on you. We got the big Apocalypse figure. Now, this is based on the X-Men 97 cartoon. Pre-order, supposed to ship fall of 2026. $120 for this dude, but I have seen him with the other figures. He's big. That's a big dude. So, $120, but it's a really big figure. So kind of makes sense. Okay, these are the ones, man. Like, you got to go look for these yourself and get a close up. So this is Spin Master. Now, they just did that line of the Superman movie figures, which I managed to grab a bunch of at a Target. Got lucky, found them on the rack, bought them, and they look pretty cool. Cool card art, right? Not like super great, likenesses of the actors, but like, okay, it's fine. It kind of reminds you of like if they'd been putting out Superman figures like that back in the day, like Star Wars, they would have looked like those. Cool. Now, I'd heard Spin Master's going to do the 89 Batman. Oh, that's cool. Got a little 89 Batman with the old 70 whatever 8 Superman. Dude, the card art, I'm kind of hoping this card art is not what they ultimately use. Yeah, it's kind of Bob. I think it's basically like from an alternate universe where Greta Thunberg played Bob in the Batman movie. The card art is just not good. I think they're trying to make it sort of look like the figures. I think the thing is they obviously didn't license the likenesses of the actors. Like, they're way off. But I don't think they also licensed images from the movie that they could use on the card art, of the actors. So these are odd. And that Joker one is like, I don't know, man. They don't look good. Now, the figures themselves might look okay in and of themselves, but the card art, I'm like going, I mean, yeah, like Transformer Joe said, huge Bat nerd, I'll allow myself those. And there's going to be a lot of Batman fans who are going to pick them up because it's Batman. But I don't know, man. I think just for a casual person, if they saw them on a rack, they might be like going, what the hell is this? That don't look like Bob. that certainly don't look like Jack Nicholson. So, yeah, it's a weird, if you find them online, you can like zoom in. Very, very odd. And I'm just guessing it's a matter of really expensive licensing. And they said, well, we don't need to do that. Let's just paint a Batman figure black and we'll call him Batman 89. Good enough. But we'll see what they ultimately look like. A lot of folks have made fun of these. So there could be enough pushback. I mean, all that pushback on the Bond thing where they were taking the gun out of his hand on the posters, I don't think it was more than 8 hours before they reversed it and said, yeah, we're not going to do that. So who knows? But at any rate, I mean, I like those Superman figures a lot, so I have nothing against Spin Master, but yeah, those are kind of weird looking. Let's do a quick dive, some new comic books. Rippaverse has Alpha Core number 2 up for pre-order. 4 different covers. This is cover B by Dan Dahl and James Frank. That's $26. I liked Alpha Core number 1 a lot. Chuck Dixon, Joe Bennett doing it. So I'm totally down for the second issue. This one, let's see. After the explosive events of Alpha Core number 1, the Alpha Cores, Brian Solari, Jeremiah Braxwell, and Ingrid Valdez are being heavily scrutinized by the media, politicians, and their own fellow Fluorespark citizens. The aftermath of the crash of the Eagle's Nest has resulted in just the window of opportunity that those with nefarious intentions need to gain a foothold in the affluent city and attempt to push the Super Cop team out. However, while the Except wing of the FPD attempts to navigate these turbulent waters, new forces are emerging in the shadows that may require an unconventional and red tape-free approach. So, could be cool. He was his number one guy. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Dude, I liked Bob. I was cool with Bob. I like that actor, so I'm glad he was in it. Yeah. I know. I've done that bit oftentimes with like my dog or something. You are my number one guy. Palance was great in that friggin' movie. I watched that movie at least 20 times in the theater and maybe more. That's the 2 movies I've watched that way. Roger Rabbit and Batman 89. I was obsessed. And I was in high school, but I had a job, so I actually had money. So I had a car, I had my own money, so I could go to the theater any damn time I wanted to and watch one of those films. Holy crap, did I ever. Man, I loved those friggin' movies. Beyond all reason. Yeah, Jack Palance. He did a good Dracula. Pretty good Dracula. That was Dan Curtis did that one. Then also Graham Nolan has the Chinoo 77. This is like basically sort of a Bigfoot Yeti kind of critter. I didn't get the first one. It all ties into his Nolan verse that he does, which I've been enjoying. So I will probably go ahead and get this one. Oh, the VHS tape. Yeah. I think I bought a VHS tape of it too recently. I had it, of course, back in the day. But anyhow, the Chinoo 77. You can sign up now for the campaign at Indiegogo. So it's not live yet, but it's coming. I just wanted to point that one out. Now, movie side, physical media. 45th anniversary of Airplane is going to be coming out December. $30 on Amazon. It's going to be 4K. In my personal opinion, for me, Airplane and Naked Gun are the best comedy movie ever made. For me. I've watched them many times. I will watch them many times more. And if you are an Airplane fan and you have never seen 0 Hour, go watch 0 Hour. It's a 50s movie that this was based on. The story is that Zuckers and Abrams had the Kentucky Fried Theater. I want to say in Chicago. You know, they made the Kentucky Fried movie. All right. Starts off with the Kentucky Fried Theater. So it was kind of like Second City Television. It was that idea. And they would do live productions with skits and what have you. What they used to do, they had a really old videotape machine, one of the earliest ones. And they would tape television overnight so they could see weird commercials that they could do parodies of later. One night they happened to tape an old movie called 0 Hour. And that became the basis for Airplane. Also the airport movies, they were a part of it too. But a lot of the character names, a lot of the dialogue is the same as 0 Hour. It is a trip. If you are an Airplane fan watching 0 Hour, you're waiting for the jokes because you're getting the setup. It's amazing. It's fun to watch. So go check that out if you never have. Dude, I hope it ain't censored. I hope it ain't censored. It wouldn't surprise me, but I hope not. I don't know, though. They're not going to announce that in advance. I can tell you that. Also saw The Sword and the Sorcerer from Scream Factory, 4K, ultra high def steelbook. Pre-order exclusively right now, apparently at Amazon, for $45. A classic 80s barbarian cinematic masterpiece with Lee Horsley in it. But you know what's really cool? So I go to look at the Amazon pre-order, and so it shows other formats. Somebody's selling the VHS tape there for like $15. I was like, kind of tempted actually to buy the VHS tape. Don't really need it, but so the last 2 versions I found the joke was cut. Really? I'm not surprised, God knows there's a lot of other stuff you could cut out of it. You know what? You're right, too, because that happened. Yeah, I was watching it on TV, and my wife had to hear me complain about the stuff that was excised from it. And it didn't seem to be because of time. Yeah. Well, I hope it's not. I hope it's full. Dude, the stuff that's full, it's going to be out there. And stop with the censorship crap. It's ridiculous. It ain't doing any good. It only makes the other stuff better. Well, like, I worked in a video store. I cannot tell you how many people came in to rent Faces of Death. Why did they want to watch Faces of Death? Because you weren't supposed to watch Faces of Death. That was the main reason. And more than a few of those customers came in and said, I wish I hadn't watched Faces of Death. Yeah, I know. I didn't watch Faces of Death. But you make something forbidden, and it's all the tastier. It's just silly. And I just wanted to throw this one out, too. From Kino Lorber, Barbed Wire, coming to 4K, 1996. I'll tell you what. Oh, the DVD special edition is uncensored. Well, that's good. That's good. So Barbed Wire, I have never watched this, but it just kind of, you know what? In the 60s with Pam Anderson and all that stuff, or the 90s was like, I know a lot of folks growing up in that era now, they kind of miss it. So coming to 4K. I mean, I guess if you're going to look at somebody in 4K, you know, Pamela Anderson back in her prime would probably be a better person to look at than, I don't know, Lee Horsley in a loincloth. I mean, unless you're into Lee Horsley in a loincloth. I'm a Matt Houston fan, so no anti-Lee Horsley feelings in this house. Some old spooky cartoons, a few coming attractions, me complaining about pre-orders, House of Mystery, Ghost Rider. I think that'll do it for the live stream today. Coming up this week on Monday, I got a review of Justice League America number 41 and Justice League Europe number 17. We're doing that every Monday this year. Justice League International, essentially. Wednesday, I got a review of Cry of the Werewolf. We're doing werewolf movies this month and reviews. And on Friday, a review of a cheap paperback novel from the Dark Shadows series. I read one every October because I bought a whole bunch of them cheap at a antique store once. And this one is going to be The Mystery of Collinwood. And I got to tell you something. Cheap paperbacks, they're actually pretty damn fun. Pretty darn fun. Thank you, everybody. In the chat today, Ramey Butler, of course, Lady Wendelin, who really doesn't have a choice, Lone Dragon, Transformer Joe. Did I miss anybody? I'm going all the way back through, and I don't think I did. And thank you, everybody who is just watching, even if you didn't chat. But hey, feel free to jump into the chat next time around. Love having you. But thanks, everybody, for showing up. Hope you have an awesome Sunday. And until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. It's spooky season. Go watch a spooky old movie or a spooky old cartoon. Got to watch Mad Doctor. That's your homework. If you've never watched The Mad Doctor, go watch The Mad Doctor at a minimum. It's free. It's on YouTube. You can find it. Go watch that cartoon. I will see you again, hopefully soon, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye, folks.